quick update on the Falcon. Got some bits and pieces laid out here. This is a guide to sort of paint and weathering we need to do. Once it's all sorted, there's going to be, I think I mentioned on the other video, it's going to be cutaway sections so you can see inside. There's going to be the little headlights up at the front there. There's going to be the engine, which is going to glow, and the cockpit is going to be lit up like so. Now, I mentioned on the first video that I didn't think the painting was really complete and it needed quite a bit more weathering. So what I've done is, this is a little tip actually for anybody who wants to have a go at this. This is Tamiya's weathering master. It's like a little weathering kit, and basically you've got a little brush, a little pad, and you've got sort of dark, what do they call it? Gunmetal, silver and orange rust. And as the names suggest, you can add quite a bit of weathering to models, and you can see down here I've used both the dark grey, the gunmetal, where you've got things like here, just like a little dirty smudge down there, and the rust as well. There's a bit of an example of it. Let's take the quarter cannon out, and what I've done is basically there was no weathering around the edge of this at all, and I've just given it just a little bit, just so you can see. I mean, it looks quite heavy when you see it up close, but sort of from a distance it all sort of blends in, kind of in the way that the real one would have. There's quite a lot of grey around there actually on the studio model. But this just gives you a little idea on how you can get this. Just like when you pull up on the motorway and you're next to a lorry and there's a little bit of rust on there, and the rain brings the rust and the dirt downwards. So of course on a ship or a plane you'll have some that goes down when it's stationary, but then you'll have some that get swept back that way as it's moving forwards. So you can have little bits of weathering in two directions on a flying vehicle or a moving vehicle, but most of it's sort of just straight down. So I've given it little bits up and down here. Let's close that cap actually. So just little bits, just dirtying it up, just making it a little bit rough looking. A couple of little suggestions of rust, and I've done the same on this is the tunnel for the back of the cockpit. So just basically I've looked to see where you've got smudges and shots and things on the original one. You can see there it's really quite grubby. So I'm just very slowly building it up, layering it. Now the beauty of this stuff is, if you get it wrong, if you don't like a bit, you can just take it off again, which is really very cool. But I'll just give you an example actually on exactly how it's done. So what we'll do is round here, let's give it a little bit of a rust streak on that last bit of detail there. So you have to bear with me, I'm holding the camera with my left hand here, getting a little bit of the pigment or whatever it is. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to, how can I get this so you can see? There we go. I'm just going to go a little bit on the top here, just like that last little one's gone rusty, and then gravity would just take it down that way, and then you can just lighten it up, smear it down, and you get the idea. And like I say, if it's too heavy you can just take it off again. So I'll do another little bit of rust just down here. Normally it runs down from something, so you kind of get the idea. But from a distance you can barely see it. It doesn't really change the overall colour. It's just when you get in close you can see that this ship is a bit real looking. It looks like it's been used in the real world. It's dirty, it's grubby, it's, well, as George Lucas intended all the Star Wars vehicles to be, real and lived in, instead of all brand new and shiny which is what a lot of the fans didn't like about the prequels, because a lot of the ships are all nice and shiny and new, but in the original Star Wars everything was just that little bit grubby, just that little bit worn. And of course the Falcon, as we all know, it was described many times as the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. So it's hardly new and pristine looking. If you look at the details here on these on the picture here, you can see the same sort of technique. You've got the rust streaks down the back here, you've got the little dark areas where laser fire or some sort of carbon scoring, but then you've got a bit of grub about the top, grubby stuff at the top, and you can just see certainly down here as well where oil and rust has sort of streaked down the surface. There's quite a bit there. In fact, there's battle damage there as well, which I'm not sure if that's going to come in, if the kit's going to come like that, or whether you've got to sort of do that afterwards. I think it's basically in there, but like this, it's not particularly good, so I'm going to get an airbrush on that and make that look a little bit better later on. Another little tip I found years ago when I was doing this is these little pit marks. These have sort of been, it looks like they've been sort of drilled into the master, which was then they made a mould from. So these are all just moulded like this. But what you can do is you get a little soldering iron with the pointed tip, and you can literally just do this kind of damage. But you can make it look a little bit more like the sort of pots and dents and scratches and dents that you see on the real one. In fact, there's a group of, if you can see, there's a group of holes over on the far side there, and that's pretty much how they do it. Yeah, that's a better shot of the sort of damage on the hull that makes the Falcon look that little bit more realistic.